That was where she buried her dog that she lost, and that no one was to go and disturb it. Welcome, 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 welcome back. It's your girl Cindy. No limits, no limits, because there are no limits to the things that you can do. From you perceive them, you can achieve them. This is where you're entertained, educated, and inspired. And today I'm going to be sharing a true crime story with you because I am a true crime lover. Now, it saddens me when I watch these true crime videos, and I do that quite often. I watch them days upon days upon days, and I see some people being killed, and we're talking about like beautiful people, and when I say beautiful, I'm not talking about just on the outside, but I'm talking about inside beauty, because that is what matters. And these criminals, these, I can't even find words to call them, these narcissists, they just take the lives of these beautiful people and take them from the people that they love. Now today we're going to go into Fort Worth, Texas, and we're going to be meeting Irvin Robinson, affectionately called Shorty. Now Shorty was a welder, and he lived in Fort Worth, Texas. He loved dancing, he loved going to the bar. He was friends with a group of females. He had this group of females that he was friends with, and he was just loved by everybody. Wonderful man. And one night he walked into the bar and there was dancing and whatnot, and he laid his eyes on this woman, and her name was Neola, and they called her Cotton. And they danced, and he was drawn to her. That same night, they sat and they had a discussion, and they both realized that they had been married before. She had been married 8 times before. So was he. And they thought that this was just wonderful. 8 times is a charm, right? So they got into a relationship pretty quickly, and she was not from Fort Worth, Texas, so she moved in with him, moved to live there with him. She was a truck driver, and she would drive, how truck driving goes, for long hours, on the road for many days. And one day, he surprised her with a puppy because he was saying he wanted her to have company while she was on the road. He introduced her to his friends, and they liked her, she liked them, and everybody would come together and just have a jolly good time. They got married not long after courting each other, and it was a beautiful little sermon. They were dressed in their cowboy hats and shirt and boots and whatnot, and the little puppy was there and all of that. 19 months after they were married, she was in an accident. And so she was driving and she met in an accident, and her beloved puppy died. And it was really a devastating time. It was a sad time. She had to go on disability, and they buried the puppy in the backyard. Shorty, being such a wonderful man, he decided that he was going to do something to take her mind off the fact that, all of this was happening. And so he told her it was a good idea if they started a t-shirt business where she would print on the t-shirt and they could sell them at the bar and around town and at festivals and whatnot. They tried, but didn't turn out as well as they would want to. Now, she got fired from her job and she said nothing to Shorty, and they were investigating her and she said nothing because she was on disability, and they believed that she was making false claims saying that she could not return to work. And where she worked, they sent a private investigator to take pictures of her and whatnot, and they found out that she was doing other stuff, that if she was doing those stuff, she could have gone back to work. And so they fired her. And things started going downhill, one partner working, one is on disability, which is not much, and as a result, things started to get hard. She didn't want to do anything, and she couldn't dance anymore. She couldn't go riding. She had a bike. Both of them, they had their bikes, but she couldn't go riding anymore because of the fact that she was suffering from a disability. And one day, Shorty told Cotton, that they were going to have to sell her bike because things were not going as as it should financially. And she was like, it's not going to happen. And the things started going downhill from there. And money was going downhill and whatnot. And they were just having problems after problems and having conflicts after conflicts. And one day, one of Shorty's friend died, and he wanted to go to the funeral, and he was like, he wanted his wife to go with him, and she decided that she was not going to go. And that really, really brought him to a place where he decided that he didn't want this marriage anymore. And so he decided that he was going to leave her. And he opened up a checking account with just his name in it. And so she realized that she was being cut off. And she was not happy about that. She started dating this other guy, and she was seen around town by his friends. It's a small town. And she was seen around town by his friends with this man, and she didn't care. And whenever he was around his female friends, she got jealous. And it was just going downhill. Now, the day when she found out that he opened the checking account, she went to the bar and she was boisterous and she behaved badly. And she told his friends, make sure that he does not come home tonight, because if he comes home tonight, it's not going to be nice. And one of his friends said that when she pulled her out, so one of Shorty's friend pulled Cotton out of the bar and brought her outside, she said, if he comes home tonight, it is. And she did this. So he went home that night and he was locked out of his house. And she called the police and she was saying that she's afraid. And he was, calling her and telling her to let him in. And she was saying that she's afraid and she's not sure what he's going to do if he comes in. And so the police came to the house and they asked him to go somewhere else for the night. And so he went to a motel. And he decided that since she did not want to come out of his house, he had a plan. So he went to his work and he asked for leave, which is something that he had never done. His employer said that he was always at work and he was never late, he was never absent, nothing. But he asked for leave and he said that he was going to leave and he was not going to pay any of the bills, and he was going to allow all the bills, all the light and water and whatever to be cut off, all the utilities to be cut off, so that she would eventually leave. So he went and he bought a blow-up bed. Those blow-up beds, because he was sleeping in the recliner and he was tired of sleeping in the recliner. So he went and he got a blow-up bed, and he told her on the night of May 31st, 3 years after they were married, that he was going to leave the next day, and that when he returned, she was to be gone. And that was the last day that anybody saw him. It was the last time anybody saw him. Now, after a couple days of him not being back, because he told his employer that he was going to be back at on a certain date. So when that date was passed and he did not see him, he got worried. And so he contacted the wife, Cotton, and she said that he left in a white vehicle, a white pickup truck, with a Spanish woman by the name of Maria. And she ran into the bar and she cried and she said that he left her for a woman. And his friends are always in the bar, because I think two of them work in that bar. And she was crying hysterically and saying that he's gone with this woman and he has left her and whatever. And they are saying, If he had a woman, if he had a female, they would know about it because they had that type of relationship. And it's not like him to just get up and go. And so his employer, they contacted the police and filed a missing person report. So the police, they got a warrant and they went, but the warrant was to search the house. Now, while they were searching the house, two of the officers, they went outside and they saw a fresh heap of dirt, that was fresh, recently dug and whatever. And when they called their superior to find out if they could investigate what was happening there, the superior told them that the warrant was only to search the house and that Cotton had said that was where she buried her dog that she lost and that no one was to go and disturb it. Now, that was 2 months later. And when the officers went to the house, there was the man there. The man that she was fooling around with. He was there and he was wearing Shorty's clothes, his hat, his boots, everything. And they just found that very suspicious. Now, the officer that was called, he was a friend, he knew Shorty, and he found it very suspicious. But based on what his superior said about him not troubling the dog's burial site, he left. And Shorty was missing for 3 years after that. For 3 years. And it was when a new officer came in town, a new sheriff came to town, that he decided that he wanted to find out what had happened. So he said that he was going to use his brain on Miss Cotton. So he called her in and she gave the same story about the white pickup truck with the Spanish woman. And this sheriff was so smart. He went and he got an empty box and he just put random files in the box and he wrote on the box evidence. And he brought it and he put it in front of Cotton and he said to her, listen, we have the evidence. We know that you did something to him. It's best if you just talk to us now. And when she saw the box of evidence and the sheriff told her, listen, there's evidence. So it's best if you just come clear and tell us what happened. And she claimed that on the night of May 31st, Shorty came home drunk and that he was being boisterous and she was afraid and she was at the kitchen sink and she was cutting up fruits and he reached to grab her on the shoulder. She turned around and the utensil sliced his arm and she wanted to look at it, but he was like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And she didn't mean for it to happen. And so she went to bed. And in the morning when she woke up, he was just sitting there on the recliner and he was no longer breathing. And they knew that this was a lie. They knew that nothing like that happened. And so on July 15th, they found where he was buried. It's the same place where the first detectives had gone to and was told that it was the dog's burial site. So they exhumed him, and that blow-up mattress that he had bought, what she did was she cut it into two, she put him into it and buried him in it. So he actually bought his own coffin, yeah. And she said that she was just distraught and she didn't know what to do, and that was why she did something like that. She took that man's life. She took him away from his friends. She took him away from his son and his family members. And She was charged with manslaughter. After a plea agreement, and was sentenced to 18 years. 18 years. On the 15th of September 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years for taking the life of a good man. A man who loved her, you know. A man who had friends and family members that loved him. A man who everybody described as being a sweetheart. This, you know what I'm thinking, took the life of this man. And will be sitting for 18 years, and she has to serve 10 years before she's eligible for parole. She should spend the rest of her miserable life in jail, even though she was 67 at the time. And he was 53. She was 67, so you know what? She won't be there for long. She'll be gone soon. But rest in peace. And if it is that you can't work it out, walk out and leave it. Until next time, blessings.
She draw closer to me and said to me, yeah, wish this night was forever.